Hey everyone, and welcome. Ever wonder what really makes a character stick with you? I mean, truly unforgettable? It's not always the cool one-liners or the big adventures, is it? A lot of the time it's their scars, those hidden wounds that kind of dictate everything they do. So in this explainer, we're going to dive deep into that. We'll look at how defining trauma can be the super powerful tool for creating characters that your audience just won't be able to forget. Ready? Let's jump in.
So let's really think about this. Picture your absolute favorite character. Got one? Okay. Now, what is it about them that feels so real? Is it just their list of goals or their funny habits? Probably not, right? Chances are there's something deeper going on. And you know what? A lot of the time it comes down to their wound. That one defining trauma that just makes them so incredibly compelling. So human. Okay, so when we say trauma in a story, I want to be super clear. We're not talking about, a bad day or a scraped knee. No, this is more like a broken bone that just never healed quite right. It's a huge, foundational event that leaves a permanent mark. It literally shapes everything about them, what they want, what they're terrified of, their entire path through the story you're telling.
All right, so where does a wound this deep even come from? Because to make it feel real, you can't just, staple it onto the backstory and call it a day. No, you gotta dig deep. We need to get right to the origin, the very root of their trauma.
So, the source material we're looking at points out that these defining traumas, they often start in childhood. And that makes a ton of sense, doesn't it? I mean, think about it. Childhood is when we're building our entire belief system, our core values, how we think the world works. So a major trauma back then isn't just a bad memory. It's basically an attack on the very foundation of who that person is. And that is what gives it so much power.
And this is where it gets really interesting. It's all about perspective. Take a look here. For most people, an event might be totally insignificant, something you forget about an hour later. But for your character, that same exact event is a massive, life-changing moment. It's a scar that they'll carry forever. See? It's not actually the event itself that matters so much. It's how the character experiences it. That's what creates the trauma.
Okay, so you've got this deep internal wound for your character. But how do you show that to the audience? How do you make them feel it? Well, the secret is in the body. Because the mind might try to bury things, but the body always remembers.
And this is what that looks like. It's this terrifying chain reaction. It starts with a trigger, and then, bam, suddenly they can't breathe. Their whole body just seizes up, gets super stiff. Then comes the full-blown panic attack, and finally, complete paralysis. They're not just remembering what happened, their body is literally dragging them back in time and forcing them to live through it all over again.
There's a quote from our source that just nails this perfectly. It says, "So that even taking a single step forward becomes impossible." And you have to understand, that is not a metaphor. It's literal. When a character is in the grip of their trauma, they are physically and emotionally frozen. They just can't move. But here's the thing. This massive, deep-rooted trauma, it doesn't usually control a character 24/7. Most of the time, it's dormant. Kind of like a sleeping dragon, just waiting for the right thing to wake it up.
And that's the trigger we were talking about. It's not just any old stressful thing. It's got to be a specific key that fits a specific lock. When your character runs into a situation that is almost identical, that mirrors their original trauma, that's when the door to the past flies open and the whole thing comes rushing back, completely paralyzing them right where they stand.
So this is a question for all you writers out there. Think about the character you're working on. What is their trigger? Is it a certain sound, a smell? Maybe it's a specific place, or even just a phrase someone says. You really have to figure this out, because defining that trigger is what makes their trauma feel like a real, living part of your story.
But it actually gets even deeper than just these panic moments. Trauma can be this silent, invisible force. It works under the surface, shaping a character's entire life, their destiny, and they don't even have a clue that it's happening. And this is what's so terrifying about it. Its real power is that it takes over the unconscious mind. So your character is walking around thinking, yeah, I'm in charge, I'm making my own choices, but really, their old wounds are the ones at the wheel, steering the ship. They're making all these decisions without even realizing it, and every single one is leading them straight back to the thing that hurt them in the first place.
So where does this road lead? Well, pretty much always to disaster. Their past literally drives them into a catastrophic situation. They're forced to live through their absolute worst-case scenario all over again. And in doing that, they stand to lose, well, everything. Their friends, their dreams, who they are. It becomes this tragic, self-fulfilling prophecy, all engineered by a wound they might not even remember they have.
And this last quote from the source really just sums it all up. The character inevitably faces an irreversible worst-case scenario once again. It's such a powerful reminder that a character's trauma isn't just backstory you sprinkle in. No way. It's the engine of your narrative. It's the very thing that pushes your character toward their darkest hour. And maybe, just maybe, their greatest victory. So I'll leave you with this to think about. What wound are you going to give your character to make them truly, absolutely unforgettable?